Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which one you are looking at right now. Um, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and I'm actually driving somewhere, so I thought I would jump in and have a good conversation this morning. I want to say welcome. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. So if you are not black or intelligent, then this may not be the place for you. You may want to take your ass on somewhere because we're probably going to hurt your feelings and say some stuff that's going to get on your nerves. But anyway, so as I got up this morning, I was sitting around, I was thinking about this article that I saw on a site, on a platform that I respect, called Madame Noire. And Madame Noire, it's a women's platform, and they have a mix in terms of views, and perspectives, and I've always respected Madame Noire. I know Jamarlin, the guy who created Madame Noire, so I respect what they do. Now, here's what's fascinating though. The article I saw this morning had to do with dating and dating a rich man, and how, and the article basically said, talked about ways that rich men use their money to control you, and how a rich man can do that. And it was kind of like, girl, like, watch out, this is what these rich men do, and stuff like that. And I thought that was really fascinating. And they brought up a lot of interesting things that I actually have seen, and I don't disagree with them completely. Like they talked about, somebody who buys you clothes so he can control what you wear, or somebody who will buy you a gift and act like he still owns it, or somebody who will use money in exchange for favors. Just a few different things. There's an interesting little list, and or he'll pay your cell phone bill and expect to be able to contact you whenever he wants. Things like that. And the reason I thought that the whole article, that the article was interesting, is because, as you know, I'm big on money and big on relationships and money and how money affects our relationships. And in fact, that was one of the first books I wrote. It's called Financial Lovemaking. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics that occur in relationships when you throw money into the equation. Like money can make every relationship really interesting, even though relationships inherently are interesting, but money makes it super interesting. And this article wasn't saying anything that I think most of us wouldn't know and haven't seen. And so here's the thing about that though that's really fascinating to me. As I was reading the article, there's a part of me that felt like it was good in terms of helping people understand the dynamics of money, and things you got to look out for, and things like that. But what the article seemed to kind of miss a little bit, it allude to a little too much, is this idea that you should expect to be able to get money from. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. It looks like I keep getting knocked off because for some reason I'm in Chicago, and maybe the cell phone signals are not that strong. But anyway, so let me go back to the original premise. So Madame Noire, wrote this article about rich guys, and how rich guys use their money to control you, or ways that some rich guys use their money to control you. And the thing about the article that was really interesting was that a lot of the things in the article were true, but it was fascinating to me, that there's this idea that some people have, that that money comes for free. That money doesn't involve an exchange of power. That people, that if you think about this, a rich person didn't get rich by tricking off all their money to people like their walking welfare office. Like, you don't get rich and stay rich by just giving your money away and not getting what you want. Most people that are wealthy, I found, are people that are investors. And so if they put their money into something, it's because they expect something in return for that money. And some people may say, oh no, you shouldn't expect anything in return for your money. But that's bullshit. That's stupid. Most people that build wealth, most people that have money, male or female, This is not just men. I mean, you've seen plenty of women that will put their money into something and expect something in return, whatever it may be, right? Or they may just invest in something and expect something in return. I've seen women that, will date a guy and start sleeping with him. Hold on, guys. It looks like I keep losing my connection. So I'm going to try it one more time. And if I can't keep the connection, then I'm going to go ahead and bounce out, because it keeps going in and out, in and out, in and out. But if you remember, songs like Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent, all that's really saying is, if I'm going to give you some sex, or if I'm going to love you, I'm going to be with you, then I expect you to help me out with the bills. If you remember Beyonce's song, can't pay my telephone bill, gotta pay my automobile, I don't think you do, so you and me are through. Anybody remember that song? Remember Beyonce was singing that? Basically saying, if you want sex, you have to provide money. And so if you have so many women who will agree with the idea that if you want continuous sex, then you must provide resources, whatever it is that I want, then why would you expect that people who provide resources would not expect sex, right? That's the thing, that's really interesting to me, is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. I think that, when people will talk about, like, oh, I dated this rich guy and he gave me money, but he always wanted something in exchange for it, or he always wanted me to blah, 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 blah. Well, I will always say, well, there's plenty of broke men that you could choose from. Why don't you date a broke man? Are you a gold digger? Is that what it is? Are you digging for gold and you got upset because when you got the gold that it came with a price? Is that what you're saying? I think that we, have to sort of look at what's interesting about relationships is that there's always two sides to the sword. Every sword is double-edged. There's always what he said and what she said, or if sometimes it's a he and a he and a she and a she. I ain't here to judge. I don't care about that. But either way, there's always, two sides to that sword. So when she says, oh, well, he gave me money, but he wanted something in exchange, my thought is, well, did you expect to have access to his money? Like, did you expect to get that money without offering anything in exchange? Or did you offer something and expect that you were going to get money because of what you offered? So if you offered something and expected money in return, why wouldn't he offer money and expect something else in return? So what I would say is, overall, when I read the article, I wasn't disgusted by it or anything like that. I totally agree with it. I was like, yeah, some rich people do that. Yeah, some rich people do that too. Yeah, oh yeah, I've seen that one too. Oh yeah, if you do that. Yeah, some rich people do that too. Yeah, oh yeah, I've seen that one too. Oh yeah, if somebody give you a lot of money and they buy you a cell phone, just be careful, because they might expect XYZ, or if they get mad at you, they're gonna take that phone away. And I think that comes from understanding the power dynamic of money. Money is very powerful. Money is used all throughout the world to control people. Money is used to control entire nations. Money is used to control black people. Money is used to control workers. And so, when you talk about money being used to control women, or those who are choosing to date somebody that has money, then you have two options. You have two options. One, don't take the money. They offer you money, just say no. Right? That's the first option you have. Number two, you could date somebody that has no money, and see if if you're comfortable with that. If you're comfortable with that, then the problem goes out the window. Or three, you can get some financial literacy and learn how to make your own money, so that you're not beholden and enslaved by people who took the time to learn the things that you did not take the time to learn. Because I'm gonna tell you, we don't teach financial literacy to our girls as much as we should. We teach girls, like Cardi B teaches women in her songs, that if you shake your pussy and whatever, and give a man some ass, he's gonna break out them bands. He's gonna give you that money, right? That's what children are hearing in the music right now. So, and then when you hear stories about Cardi B saying that she drugged and robbed men, and claiming that it was what she had to do to survive, then my question is, I know plenty of people who survive who don't have to drug and rape anybody, or drug and rob people, or whatever. So what are you trying to say? You had to do this to survive? Who didn't teach you how to survive to the point where you feel like you got to drug and rob people in order to pay the rent? I'm driving on the freeway, and the freeway is full of people who are all going to pay the rent, who don't have to drug and rape anybody in order to do that. So I think ultimately, a lot of times the reason people do desperate things in order to get money is because they were never taught how to make money in an appropriate way, or in a way that's actually going to be beneficial to you. So they end up dating somebody that's rich, just hoping that they can, get some extra change or get some extra money in the pocket that they can afford, so they can afford the things that they've always wanted. And then they get mad because the money comes with some strings attached. Well, I'm gonna just tell you something about rich people. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Most rich people I know, they don't just trick money off just because you're cute. They're not just gonna throw money around just so they can give it away. They're going to say, well, I'm making an investment. I'm making an investment in my well-being. Just the same way, you and I are having sex and you expect me to help you out with the bills. Well, if I'm helping you out with the bills, maybe I expect something too. I don't know. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's just a thing. It's life. In fact, the relationship between those who need money and those who have money is the relationship between a drug addict and a drug dealer. In the relationship between a drug addict and a drug dealer, the drug dealer always has the power. The drug addict never has any power. So what I'm really trying to say to you guys is, don't raise your kids to be drug addicts. Don't raise your daughters to not understand money. I got 2 girls in my house, and y'all see me, y'all watch me, schooling them on economics and financial literacy and investing and starting a business. They're being psychologically conditioned to know that there are many, many ways to make your money besides going out and begging for money from a man. I'm printing that in their brain as we speak right now, all the time. And so ultimately, the reason I do that is because I don't want them to have that problem. I don't want you to come tell me that you were a victim of financial abuse from a man. Like, what? You're not built to be an abuse victim. Like, what are you talking about? You're a victim of financial abuse. Get out of here. I mean, not to say that financial abuse isn't real, but anybody, male or female, who isn't prepared to provide for themselves is going to be a victim of financial abuse. Black people as a collective, many of us are victims of financial abuse because of our economic condition. Now, it doesn't mean that white people did not play a part in, creating certain circumstances in our society, but there's plenty of black people I've seen. Tell me yes or no. Yes or no. If you know people like I know plenty of black folks who have many opportunities to invest, who have many opportunities to learn how to go take a class on how to invest in the stock market, or how to start a business, and they chose not to do that. They didn't want to take the time to do it. They didn't want to spend the money to do it, or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. You can do what you want to do, but don't tell me that I did not take the time to learn to economically defend myself, and then I became a victim of financial abuse. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm going to say, well, what did you do to choose? Why did you choose to put yourself in that situation? Why did you choose to make yourself dependent on another person in that way? I've never done that. I don't do that. So why would you, are we supposed to sit here and cry for you and kumbaya it out? Is that what you're looking for me to do? Is for me to just give you sympathy and nothing else? Well, if all I do is give you sympathy, then I'm giving you nothing, because I'm not empowering you to do better next time. If all I do is teach you how to sit back and wait for somebody else to victimize you, then I'm not preparing you to be strong. So, if I was talking to one of the girls in our house, I would say, hey, okay, so you're a victim of financial abuse. Explain that. What happened, and how did you end up in a situation where you were vulnerable to him and he wasn't vulnerable to you? Because last time I checked, there's no physical requirement that men meet that allows them to go out and make more money than women. It's not like you have to be big and strong to go make money. It's not like you have to have a penis to make money. So there's plenty of women who make plenty of money. So why were you not in a financial position to take care of yourself? And so the reason you feel abused probably is because you were in a situation where, because you could not handle your business, or because you did not make plans in advance, somebody treated you like a child. Well, if you show up looking like a child, don't be surprised when somebody treats you like a child. And so, when you you look like a child when you can't provide for yourself, when you can't take care of yourself, you're kind of like a kid. So people that come and take care of you, like a charity case, are going to kind of say, well, this person can't take care of themselves, so I need to take control of the situation, because they've had control of the situation up until this point, and they fucked it all up. They totally screwed it up. So why would I let them continue to control the situation when they've proven that they can't control the situation for anything? So I'm going to take over, And because we're not going to both be broke, because that's the problem. That's the other thing too. When you, and this is for people that actually, think about their money and put their money together. This is for ladies and men. This is not talking to just men. If you have your shit together and your money's right and you're investing and building wealth, then, really be careful about linking lives with a broke person. Because when you hang out with a broke person, what's happening is, in most cases, they're bringing their bad habits and they're mixing their bad habits with your good habits. It's like making a soup where you got the hot water mixed with the cold water. They're the cold water, you're the hot water. And so if you want to keep that soup hot, you're going to have to be extra hot. The hot water is going to have to take control of that shit. The hot water is going to have to win the battle, because if you sit back and you just say, well, we're the same, and I just got lucky, I was blessed and he wasn't. And I'm talking to the ladies that be hanging out with these broke ass dudes. They ain't got shit going on, trying to sleep on your. I know a lady who's an actress, and she talks about all these handsome men that she meets who got the good sex, who want to then come sleep on her couch. And so my thing is, like, when that's going down, I really think you got to be careful about that. It doesn't mean you have to look down on people. But you must understand one simple fact, that black people are not trained to understand. Here's a fact that black folks are not, we don't teach this to each other, so we don't believe this to be true, and we don't understand this dynamic. Most people are the creators of at least 80% of the lives that they live right now. Most people create their own situation. Most people, you are the judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to your life. And the thing about it is that you got a lot of downtrodden black folks, and white liberals and other people like that, they give us no shortage of factors beyond our control that we can blame for why we're in that situation. There's no shortage of crutches and excuses and exit plans that you can make, where you don't have to take any responsibility for whatever situations you've been in, even if you've been in these situations over and over and over again, right? So effectively what happens is that because we're trained to be compassionate to other people, which is a good thing to a point, we will believe people when they tell us that the only reason that they're broke is because this happened to them, or that happened to them, or this person did this, or this person did that, or that situation occurred, or my family did this to me, or whatever. And that's all cool. I mean, you can hear those stories, but just understand that when you date a person like that, what you're doing is you're taking this big multi-billion-dollar corporation called your life, this big thing called your life that's worth billions of dollars to you, and you're allowing that person to be the co-owner of that business. You're allowing a bad business owner to run your company. You're allowing somebody who does not know how to manage their own life to come in and manage the life that you have together. And what's going to happen is it's going to cause you stress and chaos. And also, ultimately, it might drain you. It might screw everything up that you work for. And so, when I read that article today in Madame Noire, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. I forgot to tell you guys that. Please hit that thumbs up button. And just a quick reminder, I'll be in Philadelphia on May 19th. So if you want to meet me in Philadelphia, go to drboysphiladelphia.com. That's drboysphiladelphia.com. And actually, if you want half off on the all-day seminar, use the code word Philly. If you use the code word Philly, you can get 50% off. PHILLY, Philly. And also, I'm doing a seminar, a 7-week investing seminar on out of the Black Business School. So if you want to take a look at that, it starts May 14th. You can go to drboyseminars.com. That's drboyseminars.com. So please hit the thumbs up button really quick, please. All right. So the thing about it is I was reading this article and in Madame Noire, they were basically saying, here are all the ways that rich men try to control you with their money. I thought that was really interesting because what it does is it kind of feeds into a narrative that men are always the abusers and women just sit back waiting to be abused. That women can't be anything other than victims, and that men can't be anything other than predators. And so I decided to read the article, and I was like, this is interesting, because I do believe financial abuse is a thing. I do believe that it's a thing, because I've seen it happen. I wrote a whole book about it, financial lovemaking, and how money affects so many things that happen in our lives, so many choices we make, who we choose to sleep with, all kinds of things. Which is why I'm a big advocate of financial intelligence, because when you have economic intelligence, then you ultimately have the ability to defend yourself. But here's another thing that economic intelligence gives you, is it does give you control. It gives you power. Now you can use that power. You should use that power to at least control your life. And if you control your life, then that makes you far less likely to be a victim of abuse. Why? Well, because you're not going to be abused, at least not financially abused, because you control your financial situation. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Tell me if that makes sense. That if I control my financial situation, I'm not going to be a victim of financial abuse, most likely, because I'm good. I don't need your money, or maybe, I date a rich woman, and she says, hey, most of the men I meet, they need help paying the bills. And I say, no, it's all right. I got it. My bills are paid. I'm good. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. I'd rather have something else from you. Your time, your love, your affection. I don't really need your money. Right? You follow me, right? So when you are economically prepared and economically trained and economically woke, financially woke, then you're less likely to be a victim of abuse, because you have control, you have power. So one of the incentives that I've actually laid out on a consistent basis for why Black people need to really embrace economic intelligence and Black economic empowerment like it's a religion, one of the reasons I've laid it out there is because that's the key to power. Black power is Black economics. Black economics is Black power. When Black people really pursue Black power to the point where all of our children are trained to start a business by the age of 12, that's one of the protocols, then we will be less likely to be victims of financial abuse from white people. They're not gonna feel like they can control us with their money, because we won't need their money. Right? A Black person who doesn't have to go to work every day. Look, what time is it? It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm driving in my car, and when I get home, I might take a nap because I got up so early. How can I do that on a Thursday afternoon when everybody else is at work? Why isn't there some white man on the phone calling me and saying, Boyce, if you don't get your Black ass up and get to work, you're going to get fired and you're going to be homeless? Why isn't that happening? Why am I not getting that phone call? Well, because I made a decision to become economically woke. I said, if I can get to the point where I don't need massa paying my bills, I'm going to be straight. I can do whatever I want. I can take a nap at 11 a.m. if I want to and not get any shit for it. Right? So anybody who complains about financial abuse, whether it's coming from a white man or just coming from a boyfriend or coming from a girlfriend, the first question I would ask that so-called victim of financial abuse is, I would say, I need to ask you, why are you a victim and nobody else is a victim? Or not nobody else, but other people, a lot of other people are not victims. Like, why are you in that situation, but a lot of people either chose to avoid that situation or they're able to overcome that situation? What is it? Because you can't control him. He's going to always use his money to do whatever he's going to do with it, because it's his money. It's his right. It's his. You might not like it, but it's his right. Just like it's, just like if a man says, well, the only reason I gave this woman money or a part in my movie was because we were having sex, and she said she was going to take away the sex if I didn't put her in my movie. Well, most of us would say, well, it's her vagina. She has the right to do what she wants. I mean, what she did is despicable, but you can't put her in jail for expecting, money in exchange for her sex. Although a man can get in a lot of trouble for expecting sex in exchange for money, which is an interesting double standard we have in our society. I think it's kind of strange. But either way, though, people have a right to invest how they want. They have a right to decide what they want in exchange for whatever they're offered. So I would probably say, what made you a victim of that abuse? And then they might say, well, because I needed his money, because I needed money to launch my career, or I needed money to pay the rent or pay the bills. And I would be like, well, who didn't teach you how to get your own bills paid? Who didn't prepare you to take care of yourself? Who kept you as a child economically? When you can't take care of yourself, you're an economic child. When you do irresponsible things with your money, you're an economic child. There's a term I actually phrase for that I refer to that as economic immaturity. Economic immaturity is where you're not prepared to do grown folk shit. Economic immaturity might be the guy who's 29 years old, living in his mama's basement, sitting in his drawers, smoking weed and playing Xbox every day. You know, whose mama pays all the bills, and he doesn't help out at all. That's an economic child. He's economically immature because he does not understand that part of his job as an adult in that household is to help his mama out. No grown person, male or female, really, should be living with their parents after the age of, say, 22, 23, and not be contributing to the economic well-being of the household. I don't care. I don't even care, honestly, if you're talking about I'm in school, so I can't do anything. I guess if your parents got it like that and they don't care, then I don't care. But, but really, it's easier to survive economically if everybody's helping out. It's just easy. And the thing about it is that if you live in a house with your mama and the rent, say, $1,500 a month, why can't you come up with $500 a month? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's not a lot of money. Why can't you find $500 a month to give to your mama? Or better yet, if you ain't giving your mama $500 a month, then you better be so broke that you can't afford to breathe. You better be so broke that you can't even go to Payless and pay less for free shoes. Like, you better be so broke that you can't even afford free. I don't want to see you walking around in a pair of Jordans, when your mama is getting no help with the rent. I better not see you spending money on women out here running around making babies and all this other stuff. I better not see you doing none of it. I better not see you spending money on anything if you haven't taken care of your responsibilities first. So the thing about economic maturity is that an economically mature person handles their business before they go and have fun and trick off their money. So so a child, for example, if you give a child $100 and you ask the child, well, what do you want to do with your money? That child usually, unless your child's been, trained, and again, we have a Black Business School for children if you want to train your kids economically. It's a very good program. But if the child's not trained economically, what the child's going to do is they're going to say, oh, I want to buy a toy. They'll point out some video game, or they'll say, I want to get some candy or whatever, right? Well, you got a lot of grown-ups who operate the same way. What they do is they will pay for what they want, but then they'll beg for what they need. So they will, they'll go out and they'll buy nice stuff that makes them feel good. Like, they'll get their hair done and the nails done. Maybe they'll go, a guy will go spend money on, chasing some woman so he can get the pleasure of having sex with her or whatever, right? But then when it comes down to the things they need, like, paying, the utilities or whatever, they're calling up relatives saying, I can't pay the such and such. Can you loan me money again? Or if it comes down to, like, investing in themselves, like, hey, put your kid in this educational program after school. It's going to really help your child a lot. They'll say, can't nobody afford $50 a month? Like, what are you talking about? But I'll be kind of like, well, but actually you spent $120 when you took your kids to see the Black Panther, and then y'all went to dinner afterward. When all four of y'all went to see the Black Panther and then went to dinner at Applebee's, like, the total cost was about $120 or $90 or $8, whatever the number was. So we will quickly spend on things that we want as opposed to the things that we need, and then we'll go beg for the things that we need. So economic maturity basically means that you plan for the future. So when money's good, you're not making it rain. You're not, guys will go to the club and make it rain. I guess it's okay as long as you got plenty of money to rain with. But guys like Antoine Walker, who went broke after playing in the NBA for all those years, that's a sign of economic immaturity, because I'm sure he made it rain plenty of times. I'm sure that he was the big spender many times. I'm sure he bought lots of cars and Gucci and furs and whatever, and just threw money around, and now he's broke, right? So ultimately, economic maturity, a sign of economic maturity is planning for the future, taking care of necessities first, and making sure that you have the most important part of economics, which, in my opinion, which is economic security. Economic security is the key to economic freedom. Economic security is the key to economic freedom, and you don't have to be rich to have economic security. All economic security means is basically I have peace of mind. Economic security means that I'm not scared every day that something is going to go wrong financially, and I'm just stressed out to the point where my blood pressure's high. I might get heart disease or whatever. Like, that's like, security just means you feel secure, right? And when you're secure, you're free. You follow me? Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you are secure, you are free. So Black people, what is the most important thing that we need? We need security so that we can have freedom, and freedom is power, right? Power does not mean that you're going out and conquering other people. That's a type of power, but it doesn't mean you have to do that. Not everybody has to be imperialist and sort of look into empire building, right? But security leads to freedom. Freedom leads to power. So if you talk about relationships, let's go back to what the Madame Noire article said. The Madame Noire article basically goes into the ways rich men use their money to impose their power on women in an abusive fashion, right? Like ways that rich men use their money to manipulate you, to abuse you, things like that. If you are a victim of abuse, then effectively what that means is that the abuser had more power than you. If you are a victim of financial abuse, then your financial abuser had more financial power over you. The question then becomes, why did you not have financial power? Well, chances are you didn't have financial power because nobody ever taught you to create financial freedom through financial security. Because if you are secure, free, and powerful, can't nobody motherfucking abuse you. Can't nobody control you. There is no white man that runs a company that can show up and at my house and say, "Boy, why didn't you come to work today, boy? I'm gonna whoop your ass in front of your family." Like that can't happen. And I think that when I look at when we look at how we raise our children, and they were talking about women in this particular case, but the reality is that financial abuse can go both ways. In fact, I know a lot of men who are abused, who are controlled. Sometimes women might control you not just with money; they might control you with sex or with affection, with their love and affection or whatever, right? Where I've seen this happen a lot. I don't know. Tell me if you've ever seen anything like this, but where a woman's having sex with a guy, and something comes up, and she needs something, and she's kind of doing the Beyonce thing, like, can't pay my telephone bills, can't pay my automobiles. I don't think you do, so you and me are through. So think about this, right? Like, we'll talk all day about how mean it is for a man to say, I'm gonna stop giving you money if you stop giving me sex. Or if a man says, I'm not gonna give you this promotion if you don't give me sex. Well, I'm not saying that this is right. It's not right. But then think about that, though. I've seen cases where a man would have his heart broken and have his affection denied because he didn't deliver on something financial. That's a form of abuse too. Like, I think that one of the things that we have to kind of get past is this idea that men are the only ones who are capable of abusing other people. I've seen many women are powerful, women are strong, women are capable. So if you're powerful, strong, and capable, you got to come with it. You got to accept everything that comes with that. And what comes with that is that you can't always be the victim every time. You can't be the victim every motherfucking time something goes down. Seriously, you can't. You can't. Stop. How can you be powerful and empowered and strong and black girls rock and black girl magic, but at the same time you're always black girl victim? Like, no, you can't do that. You can't always be the victim and always be empowered at the same time. Powerful people are not allowed to be victims in every situation. So it doesn't mean we can't be victims. It doesn't mean people can't try to do bad things to us. But it does mean that we have to start looking at all kinds of abuse, especially financial abuse. That's what I'm talking about today. I mean, there's emotional abuse, there's physical abuse, things like that, and those are for another day. But when it comes to financial abuse, which is really kind of a type of emotional abuse, I think that we have to kind of stop behaving as if men are always the only bad guy in the equation, because that's why your relationships don't work out, is because you're doing I'm a mathematician, right? And that's what my master's degree was in. And one of the things we know about mathematics is that you really can't solve an equation properly if there is a variable in the equation that you refuse to acknowledge or that you did not include in your calculations, right? If there is a factor that's not being discussed or a factor that hasn't been included or analyzed, then you're going to always be confused, because that factor is going to change the equation and you're not going to know why. It's another dimension that's impacting the dimensions. You might have a three-dimensional model, but you might need 4 dimensions, because there might be a fourth factor that you didn't account for that's fucking everything up. This fourth thing that you're not acknowledging is throwing off all your calculations. So ultimately, when we look at relationships, which are built on a kind of mathematical balance, that exists throughout the universe, we lose that balance because we have factors in another, we have factors and issues and variables that we don't acknowledge, that we don't consider, that we don't include in the calculation. So when we don't include those variables, we end up with a lack of balance. Things fall off balance again, and we don't know why. We're like, well, why is it that 70% of all black children are growing up without a father in the house? Well, you can't talk about that without talking about mass incarceration, right? What white people did, but to put all the black men in prison. You also can't talk about that without talking about the way we've changed in terms of how we view each other. I personally think things like feminism are not good. I think also we do have toxic masculinity. We have men, who've been listening to this crappy hip hop music. Not that all of it's crappy, but some of it is. That's telling them that's not teaching them the right ways to treat a woman, right? But ultimately, these are all factors that matter. If you really want to understand, why these relationships are not working out, you got to look at all the variables, and you got to look at them honestly if you're going to ever solve the equation. We're trying to solve a 5-dimensional equation with 2-dimensional analysis. Whenever you do that, just take my word as a mathematician. When you do that, all your math is going to be messed up. Your final conclusion will always be wrong. And so when I look at these relationships and I see, families falling apart and things breaking up and all that other stuff, I kind of think to myself, I say, God, it's so sad that we don't understand the damage that we're doing to our own lives by entering into these relationship contracts without fully understanding what it takes to make those things work. So going back to the topic of financial abuse, I'm gonna tell you like this: if you got kids, man, and you're not preparing your kids to be financially intelligent, I feel bad for your children, because they're going to be more likely to be financially abused, especially girls. Because men are raised to understand one fundamental fact. Men are raised to believe, Chris Rock said it, and I agree with him. Men are raised to believe that you need to go out here and hustle and work hard and get money so that women will want to be with you. Being rich for a man is like being beautiful is for a woman. Men know that if I hustle and I go make money, women will find me more attractive, and I'll find myself to be a more satisfied human being. I'll feel more fulfilled because I'll be able to provide and do all the things that a rich person can do, right? Women are not trained on that as readily, and I hate that. Like if you are allowing little girls to grow up with the Cardi B model of economic success, like I heard her in a lyric where she said, shake a little ass, get a little dough. Shake it real fast, get a little more. And she's rapping this to 6-year-old girls. Like literally 6-year-old girls are listening to this. And I'm like, damn, wow, like this child is hearing this message that's basically saying, sorry, I'm looking at this thing here. This message that's basically saying, like, shake your ass to get dough. Like, that's how you get money. And I'm like, no wonder we got so many girls growing up thinking that it's okay to be a whore. Maybe that's, and then what happens is if you're raising a child to believe that shaking a little ass is going to get a little dough, then why would you not think that they would be a victim of financial abuse? I mean, the person who's giving the dough is going to expect you to keep shaking your ass. That's why he gave you the money in the first place. So to me, I think that you got to make a connection between what we teach the kids and what they do in adulthood, what they become as grown-ups. If you don't make the connection, then you're going to always be confused because you're leaving out a variable that's impacting the equation. You're not looking at one important variable, which is, what are we teaching our children? What are we teaching our girls? I'm telling you, ain't no child, I have one biological daughter, but I've had other young ladies that were mentored by me and raised by me effectively. I had one, my daughter in Colorado, I call her my daughter, she's my goddaughter, but I call her my daughter. I walked her down the aisle. The other one, has a baby that I'm the grandparent to the child. I got 2 girls in my household right now with Alicia. And ain't no little girl, if you ask any of them, what does Boyce believe when it comes to women and money? They're going to say things like, well, he believes every girl should have her own business. He believes every woman should be an investor. He buys us shares of stock for our birthday instead of toys. He believes in being financially responsible. And the reason that I talk to them about that, the reason I preach that to them incessantly, to the point ad nauseum, to the point where it drives them crazy, is because I've told them, like, if you don't have your shit together financially, people will pimp the shit out of you. People gonna pimp the shit out of you. If you show up looking like a hoe, like a hooker, then they gonna treat you like a hooker. Like, seriously, like, it doesn't mean you can't. I'm not talking about appearance. I'm not talking about looks. I'm not talking about what kind of skirt you wear. I don't tell my girls like how to dress. I've never done that. I would encourage them, like look, whatever you advertising is what people are gonna try to buy. Whatever you're marketing, that's what people are gonna expect to be able to purchase, right? So you marketing, breasts and wings and thighs, then somebody's gonna show up looking for some chicken, right? So it doesn't mean that you can't do what you want. Just understand what comes with that. Just understand what message you're emitting to the world. That's a basic common sense message that for some reason white feminists seem to have an issue with that. And a lot of the white feminism is a problem in relationships because the common denominator in white feminists that you'll notice in many of their messages is that their message is one that is designed to be completely devoid of any form of accountability whatsoever. Like there's no accountability, there's no responsibility that says, that I make decisions that impact my life. What they're seeking to try to do, which isn't going to work out for them, eventually it's going to backfire. Over time, it'll backfire. In fact, it already is backfiring. They're looking for a world where they can get the benefits of victimhood while still claiming to be empowered, right? They're looking to be able to say, I'm the victim, and they understand the power of victimhood. They say, I'm empowered, I'm a woman, I'm strong, I can do anything a man can do. But then, when it comes to something like, say, sexual assault and alcohol, they'll say, well, when I drink, even if I ask for the sex, if you sleep with me, you should go to jail because I was technically unable to consent. And I don't even like repeating that ridiculously ignorant fucking statement because it pisses me off every time I hear it. Because I'm sitting here thinking about, all kinds of black men I've known who've done stupid things while they were drunk. And I've never once heard of a black man not being held accountable for what he did because he had been drinking. Ray Rice was drunk when he punched his wife, but everybody, treated him as if he was sober when he did it. And think about this, he's an NFL player. He could have been drunk and have brain damage. I think 90-something% of the NFL players all have brain damage, so they technically have a disability. So, so to me, I'm like, well, if you want to start making excuses, then you can make plenty of excuses for Ray Rice for what he did. But I didn't even make any excuses because I was like, no, bro, you got to be responsible for what you did. So effectively, this, idea that you're going to be empowered while still holding on to the benefits of victimhood, is one that not only will not work, but it's one that actually is causing relationships to fail. It's causing a lot of men to avoid feminists. Like men, the way a lot of my smart male friends look at feminists, like if a woman says I'm a feminist and she's card carrying feminist and she's just like the white feminist and she's thinks the way they do, a lot of the men just walk back away from that. They say, cool, you're empowered, you're just like a man, well, I'm gonna treat you like a man. That means that you don't need my protection, you don't need my support, you don't need my commitment. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna fuck you, every Tuesday, and I'm gonna let you go out and be a man and handle your shit. Like, go and pay your own bills, open your own door, do your own stuff, take out your own garbage, whatever. I'm not interested in doing all the man stuff because I'm confused right now, and you're telling me that you don't need men and men don't matter. Well, great, then that frees me up to do whatever I want to do. I might want to go hunting for a vagina the rest of the week. So I'll see you later. I'll see you next Tuesday, dog. All right. And I think, and honestly, I think a lot of these women are very lonely. I think that they put on this facade of, I am woman, hear me roar, I am powerful, I don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. And then they go home and they cry themselves to sleep at night. Or some of them grow old alone, because they can never find a way to negotiate a relationship with a man. And I'm not trying to say that it's wrong. I think people can do whatever they want. And I've talked to my girls about all of that, about being free, independent, strong. You can do what you want. But at the same time, there are, orders of things. And I tell them, like, you can't just go through life disrespecting men all the time, because men want to be respected just like you want to be respected. There's a way you need to learn how to talk to a man, just like I had to learn that there's a way you talk to a woman. If a man ever wants, ladies, tell me if you agree, if a man ever wants to talk himself out of sex, all he's got to do is open his mouth and let the wrong shit come out. Have you ever had that happen where you were really into a man and ready to sleep with him, and he said something and everything just suddenly dried up, and suddenly everything was closed for business, and you were not interested in sleeping with him because of the dumb shit that came out of his mouth? Tell me if that's not true. Tell me if that's not true, that a man, if a man wants to get along with women, you need to learn how to talk to women. You need to learn how to say things in a certain way, the right way. If I'm mad at Alicia, I can't run up on her and be like, yo, raggedy, stupid bitch, what the fuck wrong with your dumb ass? What the fuck, bro? You shut the fuck up. Like, I can't do that, because I will soon find her, hold arm in arm with some other dude, right? It should be up in somebody else's, some other man's life, not mine, right? So if I have an issue with her, I need to start by bringing up that issue with a baby or a sweetie or a honey, and start the sentence with something like that, and then ease into the issue. Because if I come in there talking to her any old kind of way, she's not gonna want to be with me. So the same thing is true with a man. Like, a lot of women don't get taught these things. Like, you come in there talking to a man any old kind of way, he gonna bounce from your ass. He's gonna want to be around your raggedy ass. You come in there talking like, oh, because I'm an independent woman, I can say what I want. I can blah, blah, blah. Okay, keep saying what you want, and you'll be sitting over there all by yourself. And men will only show up, real good men will only show up to have sex with you. They were not going to show up to try to love you. They're not going to show up to try to be with you and be in a relationship with you, because you think that because you're independent and free, that means that you can go through life and act an ass with zero accountability and have everybody think that that's okay. That means you're basically a spoiled fucking brat. That's what you're saying. That's what, the white feminist, that's pretty much what she's saying, is I want the right to be a spoiled brat, to do what I want, sleep with who I want, like run around and say what I want, whatever it is, and you can't tell me shit. If I want to get 50 abortions and have sex with everybody in the room and rub my mouth about whatever I want, then you have no right to judge me. Well, that's bullshit. People are going to judge the living shit out of you. It doesn't mean that you can't do it, but what it does mean is that whatever you say and whatever you do, however you carry yourself, just know there's going to be, a reaction. People have their right to react. And now, if you're okay with the reaction, like if you don't care, like, like if you think about it, like if you're like, so, if you're a porn star who doesn't care, that a lot of men won't marry a porn star, like, then go be a porn star. Ain't nobody telling you can't do it. You get all the freedom in the world to go be a porn star. But don't go be a porn star and then expect people to treat you like you're a virgin. No, there's a difference between porn stars and virgins, right? Doesn't mean you can't do one or the other. Doesn't mean you can't do whatever you want, but there's always a consequence. And so, ultimately, I think, when I read that article in Madame Noire, and they were talking about, like, oh, well, here are all the ways that rich men use you for their money, blah, 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 blah. My first thought was like, well, if you don't like the way a rich man might use his money, then why don't you go date a broke man? Oh, I get it. You wanted to have your cake and eat it too. You wanted to get access to his money. You want to take what he's got. But if he want to get what you got, then you got a problem with that. Like I want, like what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. Is that what you're thinking? In fact, y'all should go watch this really interesting. There's a Spike Lee did a remake of She's Gotta Have It, and me and Alicia were watching that, and we couldn't watch more than like 3 or 4 episodes because I was like, this woman, the way they remade her, she's really selfish. She's really kind of a bitch. Like, I would never want to date a woman like that. And we just kind of turned it off because we kind of felt like what is empowering about being an asshole? Like, what is empowering about using people? Or what's empowering about expecting people to give you things with nothing in return? Like, there's nothing admirable about those traits. And so I think that, unfortunately, like inadvertently, I think that white feminism, which kind of affects so many black women, it makes them into bad people. It just makes them it can make you into a person that nobody wants to be around. And so what men do is men like me, who, no, not me, not so much like just like me, but men who don't want to say anything, who don't want to say the wrong thing, who don't want to get in trouble from the political correctness police, they just don't say anything. What they do is they act with their, or they speak with their actions. They don't speak with their words, because their words will get you in trouble. So what they do is they speak with their actions. So if you, I'm just telling you, I swear to God, ladies, you need to hear this. If you really give off a complete vibe that you really don't need a man, you don't care what he does, and he don't fucking matter or whatever, then he's gonna not want to be with you. He's not gonna commit. He's not gonna propose. He's not gonna he's not gonna ask for a relationship, because in his mind he's gonna be like, she's good. She's gonna be fine regardless. She'll find a way to be all right. She'll figure out a way to get things done, or on her own, or she seems happy like this. And because the thing is that, you know, that good men, I think, kind of expect that there's going to be some sort of accountability that comes with, you know, like sleeping with a woman or whatever. Maybe that's old fashioned. Maybe people don't do that anymore. But, you know, most decent men I know, like if you're a good woman and you're really there for him and you by his side, and y'all having, you know, y'all making good love and all that, like he's going to probably, at some point he's going to be like, you know, I really should commit, or I really should marry her, or that should be my girl. Like even Nipsey Hussle, you know, he didn't want to marry Lauren London, at least from what I saw, but he was giving her props. He was like going out and telling people like, hey, this is my girl Lauren London, she's a queen, she's this, she's that. And what he was basically doing, what Nipsey was doing in my interpretation, what he was doing with Lauren London was he was announcing to everybody out there that this woman deserves special credit and attention from me, because she's given me something that is very valuable to me. You know, she's given me something spiritual, physical, and otherwise that I respect and that I cherish. And, you know, because a guy like a Nipsey Hussle ain't got no shortage of women that will hit him, that are hitting him up in his DM. He's got no shortage of women that are texting him just to see how he's doing, right? He's got no shortage of women who would do whatever he needs them to do, right? So when he goes on TMZ, of all places, one of the biggest platforms in the world, and says, this is my girl, y'all. I love this woman. I want everybody to know she's my queen. And you know, people might get mad, you know, that he called her his wife and they weren't really married or whatever. But that was his way of announcing to all those women, like, even if I am attracted to you, and I'm not saying Nipsey, I don't know nothing about his personal life, so I'm not even gonna speculate, you know, but sometimes men, you know, sometimes their bodies want something that's a little bit different from what they want in their heart and in their head, right? The body, the heart, and the head are all three different things for a man sometimes. So he's really kind of saying to these women, like, even if I think you fine, even if I'm attracted to you, I just need you to understand who the queen is, and I'm announcing this because she's shown a special type of loyalty to me that I really cherish and admire. And I'm rewarding that loyalty by making a public announcement. Men will not announce you publicly if they ain't in love with you, or have some level of tremendous respect for you. You know, and so, in fact, think about this. I mean, you all hear me talk about Alicia all the time. But Alicia ain't the first girlfriend I had. I had a girlfriend for 3.5, 4 years before Alicia. Y'all don't know her name though. Why? Well, because I had a different level of sentiment toward that person. I wasn't quite sure. I didn't really know. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is really something I really want to bet all my chips on. I'm not really trying to go out there like that, right? And then it wasn't coincidental. It wasn't like I just suddenly changed as a person. No, I was always like that. When I got engaged to get married back in 2006, I didn't marry this woman, but sweetest woman in the world. I announced that engagement on the Wendy Williams show. I was on the Wendy Williams show, and right in the middle of a conversation where millions of people were listening, right? And Wendy starts asking me these eligible bachelor questions. So, Dr. Watkins, like, so, you know, what do you think a lady could get from dating a professor? Like, what would that be like? Like, could you teach her something special? Like asking these kind of salacious sorts of questions, you know, that you would ask a 34-year-old man who, you know, who's making $100,000 a year, who's got a PhD and all that, right? And you know what I did? I put a stop to that shit right then. Right then on that show, I proposed to that woman on the Wendy Williams show. And I did that for a specific reason. It was because I felt so strongly about this woman that I needed every woman out there who was interested in me to know that I'm sorry, my heart is spoken for. You know, that's the one I want. I've already made my selection, right? So my point is to say that, you know, when men feel that a woman values them, part of her valuing him is also her being willing to admit that his presence is important in her life, that she needs him. You know, not to the point where you're gonna fall apart and die if he's gone, but to the point where you're like, if you were gone, you know, my whole world would just be, you know, like rocked, and I would have a hard time getting up. I mean, I would be okay. I'd eventually move on, but it would be really difficult to do that if you weren't here, because there's so many things you bring to my life that nobody else does. And you know, like people got to hear that shit. But if you're pulling all this like, I am woman, hear me roar, I don't need no man, and fucking nigga, I'm not calling him back, he got to call me back, like just doing all these things that are very guarded and just kind of irritating, then, you know, like, I think it changes a man's behavior. I really, for example, I think that if Lauren London was a kind of woman that constantly reminded Nipsey that she didn't need him, and that he, you know, that he's not, you know, and basically gave him shit about every little issue and got on his damn nerves all the time, I don't really know if he would have been inspired to go on TMZ and announce to the whole world that this is my queen, this is my wife. Like, I just don't believe that. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know him, but I do know, you know, people I talk to and things like that, and I know my own life, and I just think that I see a lot of people that get it wrong, and I think they get it wrong because if you don't really have a man around, like maybe in your house, that's really teaching you the real truth about how men think, like maybe older brothers or a dad or an uncle or something, you're going to get bad advice, because you're going to read all these feminist magazines that are going to kind of tell you to have this sort of uncompromising disposition that is not conducive for healthy relationships. And when I say uncompromising, I'm talking about like, girl, if he does that to you, then that ain't right, and you should never let no man do that to you, and you should never let no man do that to you. And I just kind of conclude that, like, part of making a relationship last comes down to really managing and carefully considering the non-negotiables in your relationship. You know, what is your benchmark for what you consider to be abuse versus what you consider to be simply a disagreement? Because you got people out here that will fucking yell abuse at every goddamn turn. You know, anytime they don't get what they want, it's like, oh, he abused me. Well, what did he do? Well, I wanted to quit my job and become an actress, and he told me that that's not, that I shouldn't do that. Well, that ain't abuse. That's him just saying that he don't want, that he wants you to keep helping to pay the bills. He don't want you to quit your job and become an actress. You can say the same thing to him. So stop acting like that's a financially abusive. That's not abusive, right? You got people that will consider everything to be abuse. And if you do that, then what happens is you are very quick to mislabel your relationship or standard disagreement as a toxic environment. You're quick to sort of put your relationship in that toxic category, where you have no future at that point. Like, once I start calling you abusive, then I'm going into a whole nother lane of basically demonizing you and putting you in a category that you may not want to be in, a category that may not be fair to you. You know, I know, like, I'm gonna just tell you, like, you know, I know that if I'm with my woman and every other turn she's saying that I'm abusive because I just simply told her what I wanted and it was different from what she wanted, I'm going to walk away from that situation. I'm going to be like, you know what? I can't fucking win for losing. Every time I do something that you don't agree with, you pull out your woman's victim card and you hit me upside the fucking head with it. That's not a healthy relationship, because couples disagree. Couples have fights. Couples say nasty shit to each other, male and female. And you know, and the relationships that last, they're able to withstand that shit. They've got durability and flexibility. Like a long-term relationship that lasts, to me, is not like two rigid pieces of wood trying to make it work. It's like two rubber bands that are stretching, that are really strong and have to be flexible as shit. Like, you got to let some major shit slide in order for your relationship. I'm just telling you. Male and female, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if you're male, or I don't care if you're a man or woman. If you can't let some shit go, and you carry grudges around, or you get pissed off because your partner ain't perfect, then you're gonna have a bad time. Where women usually walk away is with the idea that if he cheats, then he's not a good man, right? No matter, he can do 1,000 good things, but if he cheats, he's not a good man. I'm not telling you to change that perspective at all. I'm not telling you what your opinion should be on that at all. I'm not telling you. What I am saying though is that the challenge with that is that a lot of men cheat. A lot of men, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. It's because, for some of those men, what they love and what they're feeling in their heart and their head sometimes differs from what they're feeling inside their body. Like sometimes their penis will be on a whole nother agenda. I've been unfortunately, when you get a little older, that's why I suggest to women, like, there is a benefit of dating slightly older men because they're able to manage that shit a little bit better. But like, especially for younger guys, your heart and your head will be going east, and your dick will want to go west. Like your penis will be on a whole nother agenda. And so the thing about it is that a lot of that's for ladies, that's usually the big kicker. Like, if he cheats, he's bad. If he cheats, that makes him an abuser. And I don't agree with that. I think if he cheats, that might make him a cheater, but I don't think that makes him a bad person or an abuser necessarily all the time, right? Because women sneak around and sleep with people and don't tell nobody and be getting into all kinds of shit. Because remember, whenever a man's sleeping with a woman, there's a woman involved, right? So there's some woman that's probably, it's like they're sleeping with women that are right there calling men dogs for cheating, right? But that's neither here nor there. But I've noticed that's the number one thing that it becomes a non-negotiable for a lot of women, that leads to a lot of relationships falling apart. I'm not saying you should change your position. I'm just telling you what it is. Now, for men, what I've noticed for a lot of men that will push a man away and be a non-negotiable for him is women have something with their hormones that's a little different from men. When women, get, when they have their cycle, it can cause, like the demon woman might come out that day. And it's just the truth. It's not me saying women are just volatile and emotional and inferior. No, it's just me telling you the goddamn truth. That there's biology that says that when woman hits PMS and everything else, her hormones can go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And what that does is that might cause her to, be mean to you for no reason. It might cause her to snap at you. When you ask her a question, it might cause her to say some things that she might regret later on. And a man, I've learned over time, this is my 2 cents. I've learned that as a man, you got to have a whole lot of patience for that. Like, you can't wear your emotions on your sleeve all the time and take personally every single thing that she says, because there's going to be some days where she might say some horrible shit. So a lot of times, or for women, it might be moodiness that might cause her behavior to shift, or it could be or also it could be just being taken for granted. I've seen a lot of men who feel that they're taken for granted, like they're more likely to have someone complain about them than they are for her to actually tell them that he did a good job or whatever. And so I found that as a man, a lot of people that run around telling men that you should never you should be pimping these hoes, you shouldn't let no woman what they call it, you should let no woman run you, and oh yeah, that's my baby, and let me tell you what she did, blah 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 blah. I've seen guys that'll say, a guy the other day said, "Boys, you acting like a beta male right now. You acting like a dusty beta male." And I'm like, no, actually, loving that black woman 100 times more alpha than you can ever be, because I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm very proud of who I am, and I do what I need to do to make my shit work, right? So ultimately, I think that people that really want their relationships to last, here's what you do. When you get your relationship advice, get advice from multiple sources. Also get advice from people that have successful relationships. There was a lady, I swear to God, I forgot her name. She used to write for The Root. And she used to give all this fucking dating advice. I think it was Demetria Lucas. God bless her. I even know her. I don't even dislike her, but this was some bullshit. Demetria Lucas, I think that was her name. I shouldn't even say her name, but whatever. It's out, so it's already done. She used to write all these relationship articles for women, telling them what they should and should not tolerate, and what they should and should not do on dates, and what men should do, and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And I remember I met her, and I remember thinking, wow, that is a pretty woman, but I would never date that woman because she's pretty tough. To the point where she might possibly end up being abusive and not realize that she's abusive because she carries the mantle of victimhood. You got a lot of abusive women who are never defined as abusive because in their mind a woman can't be abusive. That's the reason why a lot of women don't get convicted or accused of rape, because we believe women can't rape. So we literally have a crime that can only be committed by men but can't be committed by women, which keeps women safe from accountability in that particular area. Right? So the same thing happens with abuse. I remember thinking, wow, she really has very strong perceptions of exactly what a man should do, perceptions that came to me, that sounded to me as very controlling. And I remember thinking, I don't think I would put up with that shit. But good luck to you. You know, I was like, a good luck to her. I hope that she finds some man that'll put up with it. And I think she eventually got married, and she was divorced within like maybe a year. And when it happened, I totally knew it was going to happen. When she got married, I remember thinking to myself, oh yeah, that shit ain't going to last. I'd like to meet that guy who signed up for that shit, because that shit ain't going to last. And then when it occurred, let me tell you, I'm just being honest with you guys. I swear to, and I know I don't even care if she sees the video and gets upset, because it's true. It's just me giving you my honest assessment of based on what I remember seeing. And I don't even dislike her. I just remember thinking I wouldn't date her, right? And so when it happened, when she got divorced, she wrote an article basically explaining that she got divorced because she wouldn't tolerate this and wouldn't tolerate that, and women shouldn't settle, and blah, 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 blah. And when women are giving each other that kind of advice, like, girl, don't you never settle for nothing? Don't you ever, if he lets you do this, then you settling and blah, 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 blah. That is the worst fucking advice ever, because everybody I know who settles down has settled. Everybody I know who's got a healthy relationship has settled. They understand one reality is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have a healthy relationship and still have whatever you want whenever you want. You can't have that. You settle every damn day. And so anybody who's telling you, girl, don't you never settle. He asked you to eat oatmeal with no sugar in it, and you want to put sugar in it. You don't settle, girl. You don't settle. Okay, keep taking that advice, and you end up all by yourself. I'm telling you, I watched my parents stay married for 45 years. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of black liberals would hate my family or hate my parents because they didn't get into any of that shit. They weren't liberal. They weren't conservative. They would talk shit about white people in 1 minute, but talk shit about black people the next. They were just common sense type people. Common sense type people. You know, my dad was like, I don't care if other black men ain't got their credit right. My credit's going. I'm gonna take care of my credit. If a man wants his family to be good, he goes and he takes care of his family. If you don't want your life fucked up, you don't go make dumb decisions. That's the kind of family I had, right? And I watched my parents stay married for 45 years, where I saw them compromising on a daily basis. Every day I saw them settling. My mama didn't run up in there talking that feminist shit like, oh, well, ain't no man gonna do that, blah, 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 blah. My daddy would have walked out that door and never came back. And my daddy didn't come in there with that male bravado shit. He said he had that for the world. My daddy's a tough man. He's killed people. He was a soldier. He's a cop for a lot of years. My daddy could take on a dude, but when it came to my mama, he was soft as a fucking pussycat. I saw him, what's that word they use that people hate? Not concede. It's you know, what's the word when they say submit? Submit. I saw my dad submit to my mama 10,000 times. And what I learned from my father is that a man submitting to a woman does not make him a punk. A man submitting to a woman makes you a real man, because you're willing to do that. Even if you're feeling a little bit like a punk, but you're doing that, you're willing to be the punk in that particular moment, or you're willing to stand down because you're preserving the integrity of the thing that you value, which is your marriage and your family. You know, so my dad was always a real man, but he taught me that what manhood really was. Manhood is not being tough, the tough guy all the time. Sometimes manhood is being the soft guy. You know, and I don't think a lot of, you see a lot of immature men on the internet that think that being a strong man means being tough all the time and being mean all the time and abusing people and, whatever. And that's wrong. And you see a lot of women that think that being a strong woman means running your mouth, being loud, being annoying, being an asshole, telling men what to do, hollering at them, jumping in their shit for every little thing. And that doesn't work either. Women like that end up by themselves. Because decent men will only want to show up and have sex with you, but they're not going to show up to actually want to love you. Because when you show up with all that masculine energy and you're acting like a big mean barracuda all the damn time, then ain't no man going to want to love a barracuda. Ain't no man going to want to love a porcupine. Like if you a porcupine and you're just emotionally prickly on every little issue, and you always telling people what you will and won't stand for and what you expect and what you demand, then ain't nobody gonna want to put up with that crap. You know, like men are looking for a wife. They're not looking for an employer or a boss. Anyway, I'm gonna go, since I've said enough this morning. That probably will get me in trouble. But I got to tell y'all the truth, man. And I think we get a lot of bad advice. And so on that topic of financial abuse, it happens to people that are not prepared to withstand the abuse, to fight back. You got to be in a position to control your own stuff, and then you won't be victimized as readily. Doesn't mean that it can't happen to anybody, but it does mean that it is more likely to happen to some people than to others. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. Please hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Also, don't forget, if you want a free copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, right now, after we get done, right now, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. It gets you on our list so that we can also send you lots of free financial information and advice so you can begin your process toward financial literacy. And also, the book is just a damn good book, so I think you're going to like it. You can have it absolutely free at drboycewatkins.net. Last but not least, don't forget we're on iTunes. So if you want to find the podcast on iTunes, just look up my name on iTunes. You can find it there. All right, I'm out here, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Peace.